this is Charlotte from Quebec AMF again. I have a question for Mr. O'Brien. So you mentioned that your agency has regulatory power over commodity derivatives and securities, but was the new framework based on that jurisdiction, or did you receive a new mandate to regulate crypto assets?
It's a good question, and I'm happy to answer this one and any other ones. I'm conscious that I covered a whole new legislative framework in about 20 minutes, and we probably need a lot longer for that. The simple answer is it was new legislation. So we enacted under our markets law, financial services law, new requirements. We created a new asset. We created a new regulated activity, all within our legislation. Then we had to amend our rule books, create new guidance, new processes as well, all an extension of the way we treat our current securities, commodity derivatives, and other markets.
And apologies if you said this already in your presentation, but have you, just to understand the current landscape at the moment, have you authorised any firms under the new framework that has been developed, or how many exchanges do you expect to authorise if some are under review?
It's a good question, and I thought about keeping it in my presentation, but I knew someone would ask it, so I was happy to leave it open. So what we did, and I'll go back a couple of steps. So when we thought about this, some jurisdictions have said, do we grant a commercial license first and then work out how to build the licensing regime and bring them in? We decided, because we're a small island, we could actually keep everything out until we were ready to allow something in. So we did not allow anyone to come and approach us to conduct any crypto asset activities, whether it was an exchange, a custodian, a broker, until the regime was published in June. If you think about then, if we regulate the crypto asset exchanges similar to an MTF, we know sometimes they take 6 to 12 months. So we're now close to the first applicants coming in. We received the first one last week. The second one came in this week. We're expecting probably another half dozen by the end of the year. Those numbers, though, are minuscule compared to the amount of applicants we've received. And to get to this level, we've spent probably 3 to 4 months, if not longer, with each of those applicants going through technology governance, technical demos, settlement processes, reconciliation of internal ledgers against external ledgers, etc. If they don't get through that process, we've kept the application form non-public, so we only give it to those who are in a position to actually meet the requirements, or we think we'll get there, to stop that issue of having someone just pay a fee and then a regulator stuck dealing with an application who may not be in a suitable form. So the answer is none yet. The answer is some are coming in now, and we expect more to come through. If the pipeline takes 6 to 9 months for the firms to come out, we expect to be busy all the way through next year as well.
So maybe let's have a show of hands. How many of your agencies are actually working on some type of crypto asset regulation or draft? Any of you? Okay, so is that Hong Kong and who's next to you? I couldn't see. Well, so what are some of the things you folks are thinking about? Can you let us know? Would that be okay? Jonathan, you for your mic back? Thank you.
In Hong Kong, it's basically handled by my licensing division colleagues, so not intermediary supervision. I think they are going to publish something next month, so it's still not public yet. All I know is basically they're looking at essentially having some licensing regime for some applicants in terms of either exchange or custodian, And then again, it's very similar. They would have some put them into sandbox, which means there would be heightened supervision, which takes it slow, and hopefully once they're successful, there will be more and more applicants. And on the intermediary side, I think there would be some circular as well to the public, basically focusing on essentially the distribution of this crypto assets, no matter if it's authorized funds or unauthorized funds, there would be some guidelines to the public.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thanks. I just want to start from a South African perspective. It's a definitional problem, and I think a lot of jurisdictions have got that issue. I mean, if FSRA obviously have the luxury of creating the legislative framework that takes away that problem. And the CFTC definition was flexible enough to bring it in as a commodity. And that's the basic thing we faced with in South Africa, is definition. We just can't shoehorn this into our securities definition. So that's the big difficulty.
Yeah, you're right. We were on the Commodity Futures Trading Commission side. We were lucky that our definition was broad enough where it was easy for us to get that in there, and for the courts to agree, which obviously is very important at the end of the day, that the courts agreed with our interpretation that Bitcoin was a commodity. So that did help us get it, John.
In the case of Brazil, the definition is not a problem. We have a broad concept of securities, including there is a particular piece that considered as investment contract. We introduced this in the legislation 10 years ago because of investment contracts for cattle, or for growing cattle, or for trees, or for any. It doesn't matter the underlying asset, but what matters is the contract. So the analysis made case by case to see if we could include any crypto asset as securities. If we consider securities, so we do have jurisdiction. It's not under our jurisdiction. And recently, the Commission authorized the investment funds to have in their portfolio derivatives contracts that are traded in a weaponized exchange. So they could